Yeah, you're allowed to talk.
Absolutely.
So we're back in the vehicle
You're
now.
encouraged.
So we had quite a deal. We went in and got us a really good lunch. We got a really good lunch, but we're in this rental car. What is this thing?
A Nissan Rogue.
2024 Rogue. And we can't get the stinking thing in reverse so we can back up to leave. And we had enough, we almost had to YouTube it just to get this thing reversed because we did not want to drive the rental over the curb. But we are back on the road again now.
It's hot back here.
He's a little toasty.
We survived the meal this time, and hopefully it won't have any after effects like last time.
Oh my gosh.
And we'll be good to go. And hopefully we won't run into another flood out here in the desert. In the desert. Flood and desert. So we can actually make it to our destination, which we were stuck out here last year about probably 6 miles from our destination. There was a flash flood in the desert, no kidding. And it had 1.5 feet of mud washed across the road. And we are in a puddle jumper rental car. And we were stranded in the middle of nowhere with no phone service beside the road at the discretion of the county road department. We sat there beside the road for 8 hours from 9 o'clock at night until 5 the next morning until they got the actual scraper on the road and got it cleared.
There was a lot of night activity during all that, too.
There was a lot of night activity during that. That's another story, and that's an in-depth story that consisted of illness,
panel vans,
and a panel van, and 3 highway patrol. But anyway, that was, we made memories, but we ended up making it. And anyway, so I think we left off, Jen, after. So you're at the Flying M, and then you're there for several years, and then you ended up. When do you move to your place you're at now? Which is not far.
Yeah, it's 5 miles from there. Did I move there in January of 20 or 21? I don't even remember.
Yeah. All right. And so you train there right now, right?
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
And then I think you do haul like once a week or something?
I still go over to Longhorn and do open ride, and then I've got other nice people around that let me haul in and ride at their houses and their arenas. So
yeah. And most of your clients, is it reining? Is it ranch horse? What are you at right now?
I have kind of a mix of both, and it just depends on the year. Some years I have more reiners, some years I have more ranch horses, and some years I have just a little bit of both. So
right. Well, we definitely are mostly ranch horses. We don't have any NRHA reiners at this time. We show in all the ranch horse events and really enjoy it. And we have a few associations around here at home that we go to, the ASHA, ARHA, and then there's all kinds of local open shows that keep us busy. But I think that's kind of been the saving grace of the horse show in the last, 10 years? Is it 10 years, or what do you think? How long?
It's been more than that now.
It's been longer than that.
Has it?
But it's still fairly new, I'd say.
Because we started going to, I went to my first ASHA, I think in maybe 2012, maybe before that. So, yeah. Probably a little longer than, and it'd been going for quite a while before I even went, so.
Right.
But it definitely has been. And one thing, too, growing up, we used to have these local saddle clubs that would have these shows. And now around here, had it not been for the ranch horse stuff, they'd be dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But fortunately for us, there's several little saddle clubs that are putting on ranch shows now, which are a great place for people that are intimidated starting out.
Entry level.
So it's been a good deal.
Yeah, we have a little club down in Northwest Arkansas, and it's fairly small. It's an open show. They have the ranch riding, ranch reining, the ranch rail, and ranch trail. And you can go in there and you can show all day for one judge like $40.
Yeah. And
that's very affordable. If it's a double judge, it's going to cost you $80. But you can get your horse in and out of the pen quite a bit, and it's so good for just beginner people wanting to get into the ranch horse deal.
Yep.
I mean, it's a lot of fun, and it's laid back, and everybody's pretty friendly.
And there's still some quality there, too.
There is, because there is some horses there at that show that they may not be being shown, but they may be being schooled, and some of those same horses go to the AQHA World Show.
Yep.
You know, and so it's definitely a good place to go and to get your horses away from home and all that. And then, like, I know you go locally to Carthage quite a bit.
Yeah.
And then I think we have another one in St. Louis. It's not far. I mean, that's probably the furthest we go to around home. But so, why don't you tell us a few Randy Cutbirth stories?
Oh, gosh.
Because I have never got to speak to anybody. And I've heard his name come up on some other podcasts and some pretty popular podcasts. And so what can you tell me about Randy? I mean, what was Randy like?
Oh, man. First of all, nobody could tell a story. Like, he could tell a story. And super, super fun listening to him tell the story. And sometimes I would hear the story several times, and they usually stayed pretty close to the same. So that was that's pretty impressive.
Probably true. Yes.
But oh gosh, Randy's story. So Randy was a lot of things, but he was a horseman, and that's something I want to make sure to say, because I think that there's not as much of that now as there used to be. But he was somebody that was actually, I would consider, a horseman. He really thought about the horses, and the horses came first, and he knew how to take care of a horse, all aspects of caring for a horse. So that was probably one of the biggest things that I'm thankful for having worked for him, was being around that. Right.
And he showed at the NRHA Futurity and everything, did he not?
Yeah, he showed at the Futurity, and we did. You know, back then, which there still are quite a few, I'll call them weekend shows around us that are pretty close. We're kind of lucky here in this area. Mm-hmm. There's still several, but then there was even more. So we'd hit a lot of shows. We didn't have to travel. Probably Fort Worth was probably one of the farthest places we went. But we'd hit a lot of the NRHAs around. And at that time, it was nice because you could take green horses and kind of school them affordably.
Yes.
And I think that's something that's changed through the years.
Yes.
But yeah, Randy showed at the Futurity. He judged a lot. I think some people might not have loved him, but I think he did have a lot of people that really respected him and touched a lot of people's lives one way or the other. That's for sure.
Right.
I remember when I was showing cutting back, I don't know, about 12,000 years ago. And I remember even hearing about through the cutters when Randy Cutbirth passed away, mm-hmm. and people that were not even involved in the reining that spoke so highly of him and for what you said, for being such a horseman.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people really learned off of him. He contributed a lot more, more than just to the reining. Yeah,
I agree on that for sure. And yeah, I think there was a lot of people. I don't even know if he realized how many lives he touched, but through the horses and all of that. But I completely lost my train. Oh.
You'll have
Boil a frog, Jen. Boil a frog.
Oh, my goodness. I do want to add, because this happens a lot, I think, anytime there's cows involved. So we didn't really do any cutting while I was there, but we did. Before I had started working for him, he had a couple Appaloosa mares that he'd shown in the cow horse and stuff, and they were pretty good at that. But we did, their last couple of years, we'd started getting cows again, and we had some horses in, and I was riding a particular one. But Randy was, like we've talked about, he was a really great teacher, but very, very patient. But like a lot of people, anytime those cows came out, there was a whole different side to him, and the patience was not there quite so much. Of course, I had never even thought about working a cow, let alone knew anything about that. So that could get a little exciting on that end. But I always did think that was funny that he was the most patient man. But those cows came out, and things got a little different.
Got a little different, yeah.
Cows do that to a lot of
they
situations.
do. Cows just change it.
I remember Jason and I trying to work cows in our early years.
Yeah.
That's those are
Yeah,
some
if you can make it through
good
working
memories.
cows and stay married
Yeah.
and friendly, that's saying something.
That's a good thing.
But I notice with cows, like when I give lessons or help people with cows or in any way, shape, or form, the biggest thing that I deal with people is getting them to slow down and have the same demeanor they had when they were just riding their horse. And when you put a cow in front of
there's a whole nother
people,
living, breathing creature.
I mean, it's like you just hit that person with a hot shot. I mean, they are on a mission. I mean, and they get really excited. Then, of course, the horse gets excited, and that can get pretty crazy. Pretty crazy, pretty fast.
That is for sure.
But
that is for sure.
So you spent a lot of time with Randy. So would you say he's probably the most influential person on you in your journey so far?
I would say so. He kind of shaped who I am, I guess, as far as my training and everything. Obviously, you pick up a lot of stuff from a lot of different people throughout the years, but because I worked for him for so long, kind of that's my basis of everything. And I think it's really good if you find a program that works for you. I think it's great to have that basis that you can come back to, because anybody that trains or rides, you change stuff, you try stuff works, stuff doesn't work, and if you've got that foundation program that you're comfortable going back to,
absolutely,
it helps a lot, and it keeps you going in the right direction. But,
so as myself, you train a lot of non-pros, work with a lot of non-pros and amateurs. So what's the number one mistake that you see, and over the years you have seen, that maybe the number one thing, that a piece of advice you might give an amateur or non-pro coming to the industry that's new to it, maybe has seen a reining or seen some ranch horse show or something? What's the number one piece of advice that you would see that you could tell them to help them along the way?
First of all, everybody's been there, done that. I hear a lot of times from people starting out about they're scared to make a fool of themselves out there. They're scared to make mistakes. I'm not ready to go. I'm going to look silly. People are going to laugh. Right. First of all, nobody's watching you.
No one cares.
Let's be real.
Yeah, no one cares.
Nobody's paying attention to us anyway. Nobody's watching us. We're not $1 million riders. Nobody cares. Second of all, even the $1 million riders, I guarantee you, have gone out there and done stupid stuff.
Oh, yeah.
It just happens. It's part of the game. And so if you can erase the fear of other people looking at you and thinking things, then you're going to be a whole lot further ahead of the game.
Yeah.
Because you're dealing with another living, breathing creature, and everybody's nervous. Stuff's going to happen.
Right. I agree completely. People put way too much into that, and then they're too timid to even go perform or give it a chance and to have fun.
Yep.
And everybody's nervous about their own run, so no one's really watching.
Nobody's watching. Nobody's laughing. No. In fact, most people, if something silly does happen out there, most people are probably like, "Oh, I feel for you. Exactly. I have been there. Oh man."
Yep.
Yeah. And the only way you're going to get over that is you just have to go.
You gotta
to go do it anyway. And honestly, it's like when I was teaching people how to post in the English, like, if you feel stupid when you first try it, you're probably doing just fine.
Yeah, exactly.
You're probably doing it right.
Absolutely.
And we all started somewhere. I mean, all of us, I don't care who you are or how much money you've won or how little you've won, we all started in the same place. You know, we had to learn to walk, we had to learn to run, we had to learn to ride. We had to do all that. And now, I do think that process can be forwarded along a little faster if you have good mentorship.
It does, yeah.
Also a good horse to learn from and teach you how to be a better rider.
Yeah.
Because there's a difference in learning how to be a better rider and learning how to be a trainer.
Absolutely.
And I feel personally like a lot of times you have people that pick up a horse or purchased a horse, and the horse lacks training, but they come for lessons.
Yes.
Well, unless you are willing, when you do that, you are coming for a lesson on how to be a better horseman.
Yes.
Because the horse needs training, and someone is going to have to offer it to the horse.
Yes.
Whether it be and they leave it in training, or they take it home and they have to be the trainer. And whoever rides that horse the most is probably going to be, not probably, they will be the most influential on that horse.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I tell people, I said, a horse that I can jump on in 10 minutes and tune up, you can jump on in 10 minutes and tune down.
Yeah.
If it takes me a long time to tune them up, it's probably going to take you a long time to dull them up.
Yeah.
And that's just what I have found. And I just feel like often, if you can get the right horse, they don't have to be perfect, but you're coming into the industry wanting to show and wanting to go to these shows. Well, we need to teach you how to pilot these horses that knows their job and hold them accountable. And there's a big difference in holding a horse accountable and teaching a horse and helping a horse. They're
huge difference. Two completely different things.
They're two different things.
Yep.
And you actually, you approach all your pressure and release different on that. And some horses, you have to ride them up, as we talked about, earlier this morning, way early this morning.
Way early.
I think we left the house this morning. The day actually started, I got to where I was going to meet Jen, which was supposed to be her nephew's, at 3:50 this morning. Turns out one number was wrong in the address, and I was sitting at some stranger's house at 3:50 in the morning. Fortunately, I double-checked it before I sit there long enough to get shot, and I did find the right address. So we're a little bit tired right now, but we did just eat some good food.
So we're happy. We're not hangry.
At the big
We're
boy.
not hangry.
At the big boy. Shout out to the big boy.
Shout out to the big boy.
It was a good place. But those people, I think if you take that into consideration, that when you purchase a horse, that you need to purchase a horse that you can go get lessons on.
Yes.
Well, that means that horse has to
know how to
be
do their
a trained
job.
horse.
Yes.
And so oftentimes a lot of frustration happens because they get a half-trained horse and they come for lessons and they ride it once a week and they're not sure on what they're doing. They're trying. They're watching lots of videos. They're reading. They're getting lessons. They want to be better. But it ends in a lot of frustration. Then I feel like it drags out how long it's going to take before they have fun.
Yeah.
And have fun at the show.
I could agree with that.
You don't have to win all the time. But,
right.
But so many... If you don't think winning's important, go to the show all the time and have your name last on the list every time. You're not going to do it very long.
No.
Because you want to be at least representable, and give it your best. And your horse give it your best. And I think so oftentimes that you see a repeating scenario over and over again, and then people get very, very frustrated. Then, of course, some of them quit, and we don't want that.
No.
We want people to be active in the industry, and we love doing it. I mean, I was just talking to Jordan on the plane ride out here, and I don't know about you, but I can speak for myself, but I feel like I'm living my dream. It's what I want to do. It's my purpose, and it's why I'm here.
Yes.
And I really, really do enjoy it, and I love teaching. But and from what I see when you're working with your non-pros and your amateurs, and
Yes.
I feel like you're a very gifted trainer and a great non-pro coach. You are very mellow, and you've coached me a lot. And the other thing is, I think people need to understand, just because we're yelling at you about something doesn't mean we don't need help with that also.
Yes, absolutely.
But our eyes are on you right now, and you can't not listen to us just because maybe we look down or don't go forward enough or whatever it might be.
Yep.
We have to listen to the coach. The coach wants you to get better.
There's a reason we're telling you that. We're not just telling you.
Yes.
We're not just talking to hear ourselves talk.
No.
Something else I think that, is talking on the lines of taking regular lessons and things. Sometimes I think people go out and they buy this horse, and I think they go clinic hopping sometimes. Yeah. And there is a place for clinics, and I think you can get some really good value out of clinics. But I also think you need to be under the guidance of somebody on a regular basis that has a program and can help you with your specific horse.
Yes.
Because I know when we teach clinics, we have people come in and, I mean, we've just got them for the day or maybe 2 days, and then, we never see them again.
Yep.
I don't know their horse. I don't know their background.
Yep.
I don't know what they're doing with it, and we're there to help them. But somebody that's working with you regularly is going to help you get a lot further than one person giving you a tidbit that clicked with you on a weekend.
That's true. But you can pick up stuff, like you said, because there's times when people that have been riding with me forever might go to one of your clinics and you tell them the same thing, but you say it in just a little different way, and the light bulb comes on, and that's awesome when that can happen.
And that happens, I feel like, a lot.
Yeah.
And I encourage clinics, but I also... I tell people a lot of the time, I said the most important thing for you to do, aside from getting help, is spend time in the saddle. Because it's like I use boxing. You can buy a book on boxing. You can buy videos on boxing. But if you only read the book and spar against a bag in your basement, that will not get you ready to step in the ring. You might think you are, but when you get in the ring and that other opponent punches you in the nose and your eyes water, you had something happen then. You felt it. Okay? And reading a book and watching a video, there is no feel.
Right.
There is no feel. And a lot of times people get the illusion that they can buy the program. For instance, like in engineering, you follow the rules and you follow the program, you get the results.
Right.
But horsemanship
involves
a few different things. Yes. It involves feel, timing, and another live creature.
Another
it isn't consistent every day. It isn't the same every day.
That consistency, that is something that I think a lot of people that don't do this for a living, I guess, they struggle with that. They forget that their horse is not going to be the same every day.
It's not going to be the same every day.
They're allowed bad days. I have bad days.
I have bad days.
And as much as I try to get those horses as consistent as possible and be consistent at the horse shows, you're going to have a bad horse show here and there. I mean, it's just they hurt. No matter how well you take care of them, they have bad days, just like we do.
Yes, they absolutely do. And different personalities.
Different personalities.
And some of them you need to ride up, and some of them you got to ride down.
Yep. And, I have a lot of women that actually inspiring women. They're in their later 60s and their 70s, and they're out here doing this, and they're doing a great job. But it's amazing how I can tell the minute they get on their horse, I'm like, okay, this lady is hurting today.
Yes.
You can immediately tell when they hurt, their horses don't ride the same. And, we have to take that into account, too.
Yes.
Have to take that. When we hurt, we ride different, and our horse is going to ride different. They're going to feel it.
I have a 73-year-old gentleman that's retired, and he showed his first time in the herd work which is like the ranch cutting, just the other day, and I told him, I said, man, I hope I'm still showing at 73 years old.
No kidding.
That's really something.
Well, I look at some of these men and women, and they hurt. You can tell they hurt, but they want to do it so bad that they're still out there doing it, and that, to me, I want to be able to still be doing this and because I know some of them, it takes a lot for them to get out there and do it.
It does. It sure does.
But also, if we quit doing that, you kind of lose everything too.
Exactly. Yep. You got to keep going.
Mm-hmm.
So what's your plans for the next few years? What do you plan on working more on or going to more of? What's it looking like for your business and stuff? Two sliding performance horses, right?
Yes.
So where do you see it going?
Good question. So I've kind of, over the last few years, I used to start some horses, and I don't really start colts much anymore. Maybe a rare one here or there.
Right.
So I've already kind of streamlined that a little bit to where I'm a little bit more selective about what I take. I love the horse shows. I love training the horses, but the horse shows to me motivate me to head the horses in the direction we're going, and to make that, see those improvements. And to me, it's not even so much the winning at the horse shows, but when I take these horses to shows and I can see where their weaknesses and their strong points are. It just helps, and I see other great trainers and non-pros, and it's just motivating to me. So I want to really continue to be able to have some show horses, that we're going to some shows and we're competitive. And I realize I'm not getting any younger, so kind of keep the coaching going. I just start thinking about how I don't have a 401k and a big retirement. So I guess right now I'm trying to get myself, make sure that I'm heading in a direction where I can retire at some point.
Right.
And I think that's something that's maybe not always talked about enough for people starting out in this.
Yes.
I think it's starting to be talked about more now. But that's a big thing to think about.
Yes.
When you're and any self-employed thing.
It is, especially
physical.
I mean, and our bodies take a beating.
Yep.
This is a very physical job.
Yep.
And our bodies do.
Our bodies take a beating, and the last time I got kind of seriously hurt was just a couple years ago, and I tell you what, it took me a lot longer to recover that time than it did back in 2004 when I got hurt, and our bodies definitely they don't bounce back like they used to, and that's a scary thing to realize.
It is. It sure is, and I've stepped away from a lot of the colt starting also, and I try to keep my numbers a little bit lower than some, and because I try to put quality into what I have, and I try not to get so many numbers that it's kind of running me around.
Yeah.
Because if I have a colt that needs a little extra time, I've got it available. I can normally spend it with them. If they need loaded up and taken to the state park and just rode out,
you won't be able to do that. Yeah,
I can seem to be able to find the time to do that.
Yes,
and not leave a barn full of horses that get missed.
Yes, and that's one thing too that always, and I probably learned this from Randy. Like I don't even remember. We had probably 40 horses. We had a ton of horses there, and I mean a lot of times we had 3-4 of us there at a time working, and Randy though was always big. Like we would spend time on those things. Like it wasn't a 30-minute deal. Like there were some times that like I'd be on it, then Randy'd be like, let me on that thing. He'd get on, I'd get back on. And it's been hard for me somewhat when felt like I've had to rush. I've always done better feeling like I could spend however
more
long
time,
and not like I'm on a time frame on that. Of course, maybe that's just me because I remember my art teacher giving me trouble for being too slow. I worked too slow. I remember my report card saying, does good work, but works too slow. So
and
that's me.
I found it being a catch-22 a little bit because I found sometimes if I have a lower number, I can end up spending too much time on one.
Yep.
And versus, we could probably all agree that good horse training is very consistent. We don't put as much of a time limit on it as the quality and consistency.
No, quality of what you do. Yep.
And because you can't, and this is another thing, you can't miss a lesson today.
Right.
And then say, next week I'm going to take 3.
Yeah.
And by the way, now I'm riding my horse more than you're riding it.
Yes, exactly.
And that doesn't work. It doesn't work like that.
Does not work
now,
like that.
When you miss homework in school, you can do that. Okay? You can do that. You can miss a day and you can work extra hard and make it up next week and it works. A lot of people, they'll correlate that to horse training and it doesn't work like that at all.
Right.
You can't do that. You can't miss a horse 3 days in a row, then ride him 3 hours one day and it's all
and
the same.
make it up.
It doesn't work. But anyway,
definitely does not work
well,
like that.
Where can people find you? Either on social media? I'm sure you're on Instagram.
Oh.
No, maybe.
Well, okay. I am terrible. I do have a Facebook page.
Okay, what's your Facebook?
It's Two Sliding Performance Horses.
Two Sliding Performance Horses, and you guys, and that's TWO, not the number, right?
Yep, TWOSLIDIN.
Okay.
And I haven't got a business Instagram or anything else set up yet.
Okay.
Working on that. I'm not a
YouTube channel, web page or anything.
Not at this point.
No, not at this point.
That is something that I'm looking for in my future of my business here.
Yeah.
I've got to catch up to the times.
And we are on you about that.
Yes.
But
yes, I'm terrible about that.
Right.
I guess just trying to even keep up with Facebook, I can't even do that. So
yeah,
I feel that.
I understand. Well, I'm glad we got to talk, and I hope we have what do we got left here? Another couple hours there, something like that. We've probably got another 2 hours. We are.
Ugh.
I mean, there's a whole lot of nothing where we're at.
Donkeys
There's
yet.
a whole lot of nothing out here.
But we're going to have a good time, and the four of us, and I think this is 3 or 4 years that I've been out, and always have a good time. And we continue our education. All of us in here train horses, and I think everybody should go out and seek new information. And like Jen said earlier, you'll pick up something new, but so often you might not pick up something new. You hear it in a different way that resonates with you more.
Yep.
And I've had that happen a lot myself. And in my horsemanship journey, I feel like it's a little backwards than a lot of things you learn in life. So I feel like the more I learn about horses, the simpler it gets.
Yeah.
And versus in the beginning, horsemanship was very complicated to me, and a lot of white noise and complicated. But through people that I ask advice from and my mentors and stuff, normally when they help or aid me in something or explain something, it becomes more simple, not more complicated.
Yeah.
You know, and I think as human beings, we try to complicate it, because if you'll think about math again, we start with basic math, and you have algebra 1, algebra 2, geometry, trigonometry, calculus. It all gets more complicated, okay? And horsemanship, I feel like you go to a coach and his job's to be Captain Obvious.
Yes.
And oftentimes it just takes a different eye from a different perspective, and that's
Absolutely.
it. And that's it. But well, we're going to get off here and continue our trip, and you guys can look up Jen, 2 sliding performance horses on the good old book face. And she's located. She's not hard to find. I mean, she's around Mount Vernon, Missouri, right?
Yeah, Miller is my address.
Miller,
Yep.
Missouri.
Yep.
And she's around the 4-state area. And if you guys ever get a chance, look her up. I'm sure you can message her on Facebook.
Yep.
And get a hold of her. And if you need some advice or any kind of work with in the non-pro or amateur field, or looking to buy a horse, she's got some of those spotted every once in a while. But it's been good talking to you, and I learned some more stuff about you.
Well,
thanks
for talking to me.
And we've been friends for a long time, and I expect to have it a lot more.
Absolutely. Thank